Hi, Mark here. Wednesday, February the 4th. It's 7:50 a.m. Eastern, 12:50 p.m. GMT. US session about to get underway. Let's have a look how the markets are shaping up this morning. Our starting point, US dollar index, and there you see a classic doji candlestick. Nobody at all, open and close at the same level, tried a bit lower, tried a bit higher during the Asian European session, and now just settled back where it started. Yesterday was also limited activity on the index, closed slightly lower. We'll see today whether buyers do step in again and look up at this 97.45, which is my resistance, or come down and test the 97.17 support level. But going into the US session, sitting flat for now, the US dollar index. Trend is still up, and noticeably the lows from yesterday not taken out. So if anything, still has a bullish look to me at this point. Let's have a look at the S&P 500. And there you can see we're looking at the futures market, still an hour and a half until Wall Street opens up. But for now, has gained that little bit following yesterday's close. Little push higher, all the way up to 6,956 is the high that we've seen, and the support 6,931, but not much to talk about as yet. We'll see once the US session gets underway and Wall Street opens up, whether we see a continuation of yesterday's sell-off or if we're going to see buyers step in and demand for US equities and look back up at that 7,000 level, but pretty limited activity for now going into the US session. Gold. Strong start from gold, following up on yesterday's strong move, which we raised the previous day's losses. I've got support sitting at 4,941. I've got resistance at 5,097. Average true range has grown over the last few days because of these wild swings. Today already 4,941, 5,097. So already around the $150 range, which is in keeping with the average true range, which has been close to $200 over the last few days. We'll see whether buyers can maintain this strong start if there's continued demand for gold, and if buyers look up at this 5,097, look higher, 5,100 or more, or if there's going to be a turnaround and sellers do step in and a bounce down off this resistance area and look down at below the 5,000 level and the 4,941 support. Overall, daily trend is still down. The EMA is still pointed to the downside. We'll see once the US session does get underway if the demand and if the gains we've seen during the Asian and European session can be maintained or added to during the US session. Let's have a look at Brent oil. Brent oil hanging around at yesterday's close, has tried higher and lower, but not much to talk about as yet. I've got support at $67. I've got resistance at 68.25, just over a dollar the range for now, and sitting alongside yesterday's close. We'll see whether buyers continue what we saw yesterday. Strong candlestick yesterday, engulfing the previous day's losses and recoup the previous day's losses. We'll see if buyers can continue with that, if there is demand for oil, and if buyers test, even break above the 68.17, looking higher all the way up at that $70 level. Whereas if sellers take control, if sellers step in, which they did try earlier, and look to test and break below that $67 level. Bitcoin, strong sell-off yesterday. a late bounce in the US session, recouped some of those losses after a strong sell-off. Today, hanging around yesterday's close, a very tight range for now. I've got support at 75.2 thousand, and I've got resistance at 76.8 thousand. It's a really tight range. I've got a lower high. You can see that. We'll see whether buyers do attempt to recoup yesterday's losses if there's demand for Bitcoin and buyers can get above this 76.8. Buyers will be looking at a minimum to get back to this triple top we see over here at 79,000, the level that's being capped by buyers, and that we'll see whether buyers can break above that 79, get back up to 80 or above. If we're going to see continued weakness, a strong downtrend which is still in place, and sellers retest this 75.3 support level and go higher go lower. Yesterday's low at 72.9 thousand. Certainly looking bearish going into the US session. Good trading. Keep that discipline. I'll see you at the end of today's session.